The new PC build has been running awesome. In this video, we're going to kind of do an unboxing, a first look, and an install, and check some quick performance of the Nvidia RTX 5090 GPU upgrade. Yes, I've finally been have been successful in getting my hands on a 5090. Micro Center was the place for me. The one Micro Center in the greater Detroit area has finally started to get a flow of 5090 cards. I feel like they have 5080s and other cards in the series pretty much always in stock nowadays. And the 90s are actually starting to come in and starting to hang around. So it actually took me 2 trips to Micro Center. The first time we went, they were still selling out. We were a little too late. Second time though, man, they had a bunch of them. And so I settled here on another MSI card this time, an MSI Ventus 3X. This is the 5090 OC edition, overclocked edition. Now, I was very constrained in this case here. This is a ThermalTake Tower 250. The key element of the GPU fitting in this case is it has to be less than 70 millimeters or less thick, essentially. That's why I've never been able to put the side panel on with my 4090 in there. The 4090 card that's in there is something like 76, 77 millimeters thick. This is my old MSI Gaming X Trio 4090. This will be available for purchase. I will be selling this hopefully fairly quickly to help offset the cost and fund the acquisition of the 5090. So I've been running this without a side panel all the time since my son and I built the new PC. It'll be nice to get this in there, actually have dust protection. So let's dive in. Let's dive into this 5090 card. Now, I've definitely been excited to get a hold of this. It does suck to pay the price to get one of these. The way that they were supposed to be like $2,000 MSRP, and then even the third parties, nobody's charging $2,000 for these cards. So this was actually $29.15 plus or minus a couple bucks at Micro Center, which is better than a lot of the other 5090s at Micro Center have been. Many of the other cards, even PNY and whatnot, are $3,300, $3,400, $3,600. It feels both stupid and happy to actually get a hold of a 5090 for less than 3,000 bucks. As silly and as crazy as that sounds. But again, the defining factor for me, I like MSI. I've used MSI actually for the last few generations of cards. They've all ran fine for me, but I needed a card of a certain size, which was going to limit me to like Zotac and a couple of other brands or specific cards. And the Ventus though, the Ventus will actually fit according to its size and dimensions. The Ventus will fit quite nicely in this case. So go ahead and get this open up here. There we go. Everybody usually nowadays does pretty nice packaging for high-end PC components. So we've got some foam, some foam stuff going on here. Of course, the card itself. Really eager to see what the uplift on this is going to be. My son and I last night in fact, just went ahead. I finally picked up Spider-Man 2. We finished together all of Spider-Man 1 and the Miles Morales expansion. We're now ready for Spider-Man 2. And the 4090 needs some more horsepower in Spider-Man 2 for sure. So looking at what we got here, we do have one of the power cable adapters here. Wow, so if you don't have the new style PCI power adapter, and I do of course in this new build here, it's a 4-to-1. We do have one other accessory in here. This looks like a sag spacer, basically. So if you're mounting horizontally, I think perhaps you can put this in your case, adjust it where you need it to be, tighten it all up, and you have yourself a spacer, basically a sag preventer for your card. Of course, we'll be mounting, in this case, in the ThermalTake here, we're mounting vertical, so this is not a piece that we will be making use of. All right, let's look at the main event here. The big card in all its glory. Not too big though, of course, that it doesn't fit in the case. 3-fan design. Nice back plate. We do have 3 display ports and 1 HDMI. I do like how, again, with these cards nowadays, they provide the covers, the caps of things that you're not using. And there is our one single power connector that we'll be taking advantage of. All right, let's get the 4090 out of here. I really do like this case. I've been really impressed and happy with the way it's worked, the way it's ran. the amount of noise and such. It'd be nice having the other side panel on, of course, but accessibility, compactness, I think there's a lot to like about this Tower 250. So we did fire up Spider-Man 2 already. We just started into maybe the first 90 minutes or so, 60 to 90 minutes of the game. And we maxed it up pretty good. Pretty high settings, ray tracing on high, all that stuff. No frame generation, none of that stuff enabled. And we were getting like frame rates 60 to 80, I would say, through most of the game. It'll be really interested and eager to see what the 5090 is able to do with the rest of these PC parts compared to the 4090. Got our screws undone, got a power cable disconnected there. It's popped out nice and easy. There we go. Again, I think for such a small case, it really is very easy to work in this ThermalTake. Highly recommended if you're looking for an RTX build, or the bigger versions of the Tower if you're looking for a larger scale build in this more vertical I/O, vertically form factor style of case. I have had no problems leaving the PC right in the living room, which is awesome. I think that's going to be my plan going forward. Boom, right in. With the vertical mounting, we really don't have to worry anything about sag and stuff like that. Basically just get these top screws placed, and it's going to maintain a nice and supported position. I did uninstall all the drivers, the Nvidia app, all of the Nvidia drivers. Keep it nice, just keep it clean for our first boot with the new card. Gotta love having one power connector. Bend it a little bit back the opposite way from the way it was. Perfect fit. This is a really great card for this case. Plenty of room underneath as well for cable routing. And here's what we've been hoping to do the whole time. Perfect. Nice. Get the front glass put back on. And our little side panel. We are ready to boot her up. So I'm gonna get this moved back over to the living room setup, get the I/O plugged back in, HDMI, wired Ethernet, and power. That's all we need. Boot it up on the LG in there and reinstall some drivers and do a little performance check. All right, we are connected and online. Boot up went off without a hitch. We can see I'm still leaving the PC there down to the right of my bump out here in the living room. Check out some other videos on the channel for a whole living room AV, living room home theater kind of setup tour. I'll be doing some more work in here to come, so I'm still kind of in this temporary setup where the cable's exposed going behind the TV there, but this whole wall is going to be rebuilt soon. We're going to be doing a massive full-cal Utopia upgrade and more in the living room, but we're here. Started up, booted up, no problem. No RGB on the Ventus, that doesn't bother me at all, no worries there. All right, so a couple things. Again, before taking the 4090 out and shutting that PC down, I uninstalled everything Nvidia, uninstalled the Nvidia app, uninstalled all of the Nvidia related drivers and stuff. So fresh and clean, put the GPU in, booted up. First thing I did was installed the Nvidia app. It's nice how we can do this now. Basically, the Nvidia app takes us directly to then installing the requisite drivers. So as soon as I got the Nvidia app installed and run the first time, it said, hey, we're ready to install a GeForce Game Ready driver for your GPU. Just did that, version 5.76.40, released Monday, May 12th. After that, of course, we're setting up some general graphics settings, global settings here. I'm a big fan of RTX HDR. I'm a big fan of like leaving HDR on all the time in Windows. I know some folks don't like that, so do what you like, do what you prefer with your settings. This is what I found works really well with me with an 83-inch LG OLED G2 television. So I'm running RTX Dynamic Vibrance. I'm running RTX HDR in the driver there. I am still setting a max frame rate. It's another thing I've seen some conjecture about. Do you need to set a max frame rate below the maximum actual frame rate capable of your display? What happens at the end of the VRR, the VSync range, and all of that sort of stuff? So I think this gives me the safest peace of mind from what I've been able to research, what I've been able to see. So I do set a frame rate at 115. Maximum frame rate of my display is 120. It is G-Sync capable, of course, and we're using that with the LG. And I'm turning VSync on in the driver and turning it off in the requisite game. It's basically managing all of this just flat out there in the global setting. Again, we do have G-Sync turned on if we look at the regular or the overall system settings. And for the display itself, running 3840 by 2160 at 120 hertz refresh rate. And if we look down at the color, I'm leaving these on defaults now. I did have some earlier videos where I've played around, I've ran video levels, I've ran RGB. This is an RGB source connected to a display that can handle an RGB signal natively. No need to do extra conversions and whatever in between. So we are looking at, again, just default settings here. Desktop color depth 32-bit, 10-bit output color depth, RGB, and full. Looks great, plays great, blacks, darks, everything looks the way that it's supposed to. The other thing that I do is I have actually gone ahead and still installed the Nvidia control panel. I wish we didn't have to do this, and if anybody has a way to stop the stupid annoying pop-up when you don't have the Nvidia control panel installed, but you have the Nvidia app installed, you have all your stuff configured properly, I get this overlay, and it drives me nuts to saying that the Nvidia control panel is not available. I've looked for a way to disable that, and I can't find it. So I just installed the Nvidia control panel from the Windows Store. I don't use it, it's just there, it's resident on the system now, and at least that will stop the stupid pop-up from showing up. That pop-up doesn't even time out on its own, it just sits there forever. And when I'm trying to do basically a console-style PC build here, interaction where I just boot directly to Steam and I grab my controller, I don't want to have to touch the keyboard to dismiss that stupid overlay. So we're only using that just, again, to get rid of the overlay. If we look at regular Windows settings, we're going to go to System and Display. Again, I have HDR on. I run HDR all the time. I do have Auto HDR turned off. We don't want to use that. We want to use RTX HDR instead. This works for me. I like it. I like the way everything looks. HDR on all the time. And I do download the Windows HDR calibration app and ran that. We'll take a look at that in a second. But the other thing that I wanted to just make sure to point out, when you're installing your new video card, you're connecting it in a living room, home theater environment, stuff like this. Also verify your audio. And so my TV is being picked up here as the audio connection from the computer. I basically have just a 2.2 channel setup in here, very high quality audio, but not multi-channel, just 2-channel. So I do have the computer set to output that basically, full range 2-channel PCM. And then of course the Windows HDR calibration app, this can be obtained from the Windows Store. So I think a lot of gamers are familiar with this now, both for PC and on consoles nowadays. Again, we're basically setting up HDR limits relative to the display. So you would come in here, you would set your darks, you would set your brights relative to what you know about your display, or visually, again, just based kind of on the boxes. I know with a G2 OLED here that I have 1000 nit display, and I can set these things accordingly. I've already done this, but kind of just running through here to get an idea. I don't mess with the color saturation, but in any case, we can save our profile name to something here. Go ahead and dismiss that. And just to show that I've already done this, I'm going to go back to System, Display, and we're going to see right here, color profile set to an HDR calibrated profile. I just named it that as the default with today's date. All right, here we are. And yeah, the performance is pretty good. Minus one major issue that I found with the card. We'll get to this in a second, but with a little bit of setting tweaks and the extra horsepower that we're running here, easily here now, swinging around the city as miles, 100 FPS, average frame rate is holding pretty, or current frame rate, holding pretty strong. Well, actually I have to play through a bit of the game, different environments, combat, and some of the other elements, but I'm pretty happy with this. I did look for some recommended and kind of optimized settings just to give an idea of what I'm running here. Full screen, 3840 by 2160, again VSync off because it's on in the Nvidia app, Nvidia Reflex low latency on, HDR value set, this is using the in-game HDR, no frame generation, upscale DLSS quality, no dynamic resolution scaling, texture quality very high, texture filtering 16x, medium shadows. I had seen it recommended in this game that going above medium actually kind of degrades them, and I tend to agree with that. Playing around with it, shadows go really soft above medium, kind of interesting. SSAO ambient occlusion seem to be very highly recommended for this game. Screen space reflections high, only ray traced reflections on, Don't feel the need for the interiors, and the shadows is actually not supposed to do much value either. Ray tracing geometry detail high goes with the high reflections. I think ray tracing object range, I think this was default 6 anyway. I did play around with the DLSS ray reconstruction using the transformer model. I think this is a little bit too much of a performance hit, but in any case, level of detail high, traffic density very high, crowds ultra, hair and weather set to high, and then most of the camera effect stuff turned off. I did bump the field of view up a little bit, up to 8. I usually prefer that in games, especially games like this. I did jump into a game of Marvel Rivals as well, and obviously this computer eats up Marvel Rivals without any trouble. I think Spider-Man poses much more of a challenge. But we can see here, jump in, all this view of the city. We're hitting that frame rate cap up to 115, even way up here with all this city being visualized, all this lighting. Let's take a look at what some of the ray tracing looks like. So nice. All right, now let's talk about one of the problems that I had with this computer here. So you can notice something different about the computer right here from earlier in the video. It's not standing up, and it can't stand up. Not anymore, not with this card apparently. So I put everything together as I had it. I jumped into Spider-Man for the first time. As soon as the video card was challenged, as soon as it was basically rendering in-game graphics in Spider-Man, we shot to like 85, 90 degrees, massive fan noise, full fan speed essentially, thermal throttling. I tried a game of Marvel Rivals, did the same thing. As soon as we got in-game, right up there, 85, 90C, super loud, super annoying, thermal throttling and all that as well. So I did a little bit of quick research, and I had seen some of this before. I hadn't experienced it, but I had seen some references before to concern about GPUs being mounted vertically. And some GPUs just don't like it. Specifically, some GPUs that may have vapor chambers may not perform as well when mounted vertically as when mounted horizontally. But apparently, this Ventus, this MSI Ventus, is not a card that likes to sit vertical. In some ways, I kind of wish I would have, when I knew that was the card that was in stock and it fit the case and I was going to get it, maybe I should have done some better due diligence and done a little bit of a search around, because it didn't take long to find at least a couple of Reddit comments and some Reddit threads and some discussions about people mentioning issues with the card being vertical and mentioning conversations with other folks having issues with the card being vertical. But in any case, as soon as I put the case down on its side, no problem. It's running fine, it's running quiet. Temperatures are really not even exceeding the low to mid 60s now, even at like massive GPU utilization. So something about the thermal characteristics and the thermal operation of this card does not like being vertical. And this blows my whole PC plan out of the water. I don't know if I may look to try to take this back to Micro Center, maybe some instances of the Ventus will do better vertical than others. I'm guessing it's probably more of a systematic issue with the card, and that if I want to resolve this issue, I need to get a different 5090. At least on a positive note, this case is actually built to go in either orientation. So it can stand as it comes out of the box up on its feet. And also for 35 bucks, you can buy a horizontal chassis kit, which basically allows you to take the feet off and put a cap on the bottom that has the same kind of dimensions and shape and whatnot as the cap on the top, giving it a bit of a tube, a finished tube look. And then it has a flat piece with some arms in the back, and you basically would take it at the same kind of tilted orientation and be able to set it into that stand so that it actually has support when it's in this mode. As it is right now, it's kind of just sitting on the thinner flat section because it has the beveled, the angled edges. So if I'm going to do this, I would probably go ahead and pick up the $35 chassis stand, or I guess consider a different kind of case. But the thing I really liked about this case was its presentation. To have the PC up here, having all the cables come out the back, and having the visualization of all of the components basically looking forward, not having an I/O on the left side of the case, but having the I/O up inside and hidden away and all the cables coming out the back was really my selling feature most desirable feature for going with this case. And there's precious few options to be able to do something like that, and to be able to present the components in that way. Well, you pretty much need to have a vertical GPU orientation anyway. So I'm not sure what I might do as my next step. It certainly fit really nice tucked against the edge of the television bump out, being vertical. Being horizontal, it doesn't fit so well in the same way. I guess I could maybe move it over and put it down in front of the TV and just run a couple of cables up through there. We'll see what happens when I actually get this TV wall refinished and where we end up. But stay tuned to the channel if I end up doing a card swap. But I think I'm going to spend a little bit of time doing some research on other 5090s that would both fit this case and are proven to be okay in a vertical orientation. And this is why console gaming is so much simpler than PC gaming. But man, I cannot fault these visuals, and I can't fault the overall performance when the card is working like it's supposed to. 100 plus FPS with really high settings, swinging around the city in Spider-Man 2 is pretty awesome. So let me know in the comments, what do you think? What would you do? Would you go for a different case? Should I maybe consider putting the PC back downstairs? The whole desire to bring the PC upstairs, though, was to get better controller accessibility and accessibility to the PC, to be able to plug in like wired fight sticks and other things like that. So taking the PC out of the living room really isn't desirable. Would you look for a different card, a different make, model of card, change the case? Given my setup, given the constraints, given what we've laid out here, what would you do? What would you do next if you were me? Maybe just set the case down, buy that stand, suck it up, and just put the PC down in front of the television. Maybe instead of off to the side, it goes in the middle, looks a little more symmetrical, a little more clean or something in that way. Anyway, I don't know. Sound off in the comments. Let me know. Let me know what you think that I should do. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, hey, Techthusiasm, I'm a dealer for a whole bunch of audio, video, home theater brands. Kaleidoscape, JVC, Panamorph, Seymour Screens, SVS, Focal, Denon Marantz, Sony, and a whole lot more. I also have a whole bunch of affiliates down in the description. AudioVice, Crutchfield, Walmart, and a whole bunch more. If you're doing some general shopping, Amazon is down there. Please use my affiliate links to do that shopping. Leave a PayPal tip, Venmo tip, a super thanks, or become a channel member. All of that and any of that is always much appreciated. Thanks for watching, and hey, coming back for more home theater and home theater based PC gaming challenge discussion and fun.